Welcome to the Planning for Life podcast with certified financial planner professional Russell Jacobs and financial life advisor Carl Coolidge. Carl and Russell will share creative strategies and ideas for overcoming challenges in your personal and financial life. Inevitably, life happens, and we will empower you to reach your destination. Thanks for joining us. Now, on to the show.
Hello and welcome to another podcast. Today, we are talking to Russell Jacobs about reaching out for better. You know, if your financial services professional isn't an avid reader, isn't an avid podcast reader or listener, or they're not spending time sharpening their saw, then you really need to reconsider who you're working with. And when we were preparing for the podcast today, Russell had said that he had just read some stuff recently that really made him want to talk about what it means to reach, to be better, to have a better life, to have a better retirement, to just what a financial advisor can do for you so that you reach for better. So Russell, tell me a little bit about this reading and this philosophy, and where are we going with this today?
Well, Matt, on a previous podcast, we had talked about what are the things that cause people to procrastinate. And one item was people want to try and reach perfection or have the situation be just right before they do anything or take an action. And so I get content from the various money managers and insurance carriers that we work with. And this content really resonated with me because it was so connected to that previous theme. And that's where Reach for Better came from, because, we all have a vision of where we'd like to be in life at some point, somewhere perhaps different than now, whether it be a long-term objective or an intermediate objective or goal. And the whole point of financial advising and what we do with our clients is help them sometimes clarify what these objectives are and then understand what it takes to get from here to there so that you understand that. And then you can decide if you want to take that on and try and climb that mountain, or if you want to adjust your dream, I call it, to make it a more palatable journey, because everything has a cost and you have to pay a price if you're trying to get somewhere else. And that's, quite frankly, a problem with a lot of people, because they don't like delayed gratification and they don't want to pay the price of save today for reward tomorrow. And the whole concept of partnering with a financial advisor to help you turn these dreams, ambitions, and goals into reality and success of achievement is what this is about, and that's what we do.
Well, how do you do that, though, Russell? I mean, I think a lot of people out there say, I've heard that before. What makes you and your approach truly unique and different? Okay, now go ahead.
So, Matt, I am confident that we are different because through the years, Carl and I have developed a very well thought out process, which you're familiar with, and we've done podcasts on before, the Rich Planning Experience, a holistic approach to financial wellness. And the key element of Rich, outside of accountability, is that it's based on relationship. And that relationship is a long-term relationship built on trust, transparency, and client first. So when we're talking with someone as a prospect who then becomes a client, there is a process and a track that they can see and feel and understand that it is truly for their benefit more than ours. I mean, certainly it's for ours too, because we are in business, but it's about client first. So we help them understand and refine their goals and turn them into prioritized goals so they can actually attack them in some manner of priority and also realistically achievable, because you get overwhelmed if there's too many things and the task seems too big. So we can actually help them understand where they are versus where they'd like to be, and then through the use of our planning and software, etc., show them how to get started on that journey and then actually arrive at the destination that they are seeking. Mm-hmm. And then through the process, if it turns out to be that the cost is too high or the time too long or whatever the task may be too daunting, we can help them adjust and revise their dreams to a more achievable level so they can can be successful, and whether that's opening a business or traveling around the world, renovating a home, buying a second home, or they just want to focus on the more basics of planning sustainable retirement income, educating their children or grandchildren, protection in case they're not there because something happened to them, or a legacy for future generations. It all depends. We're all different, and what those goals are each our own.
Well, and those goals change too, don't they, Russell? I mean, you've got those, they call it the go-go, the slow-go, and the no-go years, right? So, so talk about that a little bit, will you?
Well, yes, what we often see in retirement, the go-go phase is, most people aren't fortunate enough to have flexible schedules, so they get their 2 weeks vacation and they have to do what you can do within that period of time. We even have clients who work for manufacturing plants where they only get the vacation when the plant shuts down. So not only do they only have the 2 weeks, they have to take it when the plant shuts down. Therefore, there's pent up demand. When they get retired, they really kind of want to get out there and get it done. So go-go is simply that. In retirement, initially, you're going to be finding out what's your new normal, but you're going to go and do everything that you want to do. But what's going to happen at a certain point in time, you're going to get tired of doing that. You're going to get older. You're going to decide perhaps you need to limit the expenditure of resources, and you're going to move into slow go. And that's where you begin to have a more normalized retirement routine, maybe less travel, less expense, less eating out, whatever, fill in the blank. And then no go is our later years when you become pretty sedentary, perhaps physically, mentally, or just because you're tired of doing it, you are more limited in what you do, in your kind of last phase of life. And the expenses and the complexities of that phase tend to be more medically related. But, yes, certainly it changes for what you're trying to be prepared for. And I call that the fourth quarter chapter, and it's a difficult chapter in and of itself. You have to really prepare for that, both mentally and physically, so that you're ready for it and your family's ready for it.
Russell, we started this with reach for better. Where do we go from here, though? So how do we continue with all of what you just talked about? How do we continue to reach for better?
Well, I think, Matt, that people tend to get overwhelmed and think that they don't have enough or it's too short of a time frame. And if something is holding you back from planning, which definitely it is based on the stats we see, then we've got good news for people. Whether you're thinking, I don't know where to start, it's too expensive, I don't need a financial strategy, or I don't have enough money, none of those things are true. In fact, there's a litany of things. I'm too disorganized with my paperwork. I don't have enough time. I don't trust a stranger with my finances. On that one, I wouldn't either. That's why we like to build a relationship. Don't trust a stranger with your finances. My friends can help me figure it out. Don't do that either. That usually ends badly and messes up your relationship. I can do it myself. Certainly there are a few people that can, but all these are things that people have misconceptions about that lead people to not want to work with a financial advisor. And if you pick the right financial advisor, as we've discussed on previous podcasts, who have professional designations, have a process, are more interested in you than themselves, then just don't wait. Don't procrastinate too long. We'll help you get there and help you determine where there is. What is your why? And then get it done.
We know that it's normal to have those levels of anxiety, and through the rich planning process, you really do help them, get through that and overcome these things that you just said. I want to highlight just a couple of those, the bullet points that you just had. I want to start with, I can do it myself. This is something that is starting to become more and more pervasive in the news. Just hire a robo-advisor. This stuff's not that complicated. Can you talk a little bit about that, please?
Absolutely. If someone actually goes and looks at statistics, they'll see that there aren't many people doing that. But I have met with a client today who's currently on Mint, but he's incredibly busy. He just said, I'm in a different phase. I'm excited about the fact that I'm going through this planning process with you, meaning the rich planning experience. And I want y'all to work with me to handle this. And that's what typically happens is people don't have time, or they don't have the expertise, or something like Mint is a great software technology tool, but it doesn't have the planning to go with. And the fact is, one of my most important capabilities is our incredible organization and proactivity, but the financial planning drill sergeant, because when you take people through this process and identify these gaps and cracks or goals and objectives, and then you become their discipline, that's the secret sauce. Is we bring discipline and organization in a very proactive manner, because frankly, all the products are commodities, and there are certain people who can do it themselves successfully, but it's a very small minority.
Well, Russell, you work with physicians, right? Physicians don't diagnose themselves generally. They don't do surgery on themselves. Why could somebody think that it's okay for them to, trust their friend to do the surgery or trust, somebody who they don't have trust in, some random person who they got an invite from, in the mail that looks like a wedding invitation, or do it themselves? I seem to be a little bit confused at why people aren't putting the same level of value on their long-term financial situation as they do their health.
Now, Matt, I can't really answer that question. It's a perplexing question. I mean, frankly, one of the biggest frustrations in our business is the fact that we have spent all this time with the professional education, the ongoing education, the building of processes and systems. But if I reached out to you because I came across your name or something and it wasn't a real strong introduction, in many cases, you're going to think we're the same as the next guy or gal, shall we say. And it just takes time to crack that code and get to know someone. And so I just can't explain it. It's vexed us for years, and we haven't figured that out. We do very well once we're introduced to people. But, I think there's so much noise out there, and attention spans have gotten shorter and bombarded. If you're awake, you're bombarded either by your phone or the television or whatever your technology of imprisoning is. So I think we just have to continue to find a way. And that's why we do these podcasts, to really try and let people know how different we are and how focused on their long-term success, no matter what happens to them in life, because life is hard. It's not fair. It's not easy. Things happen. People die. And unexpectedly, we all die. But, it's hard. You just have to prepare. And if you prepare, it can be a great life. Then you can pass a legacy and teach your kids and all kinds of things. But I'm rambling now. I don't know. It's just
I like the ramble, dude, because you just triggered a couple of other things. I mean, you're talking once again about reaching for better, right? Helping people, being that coach, being that accountability partner in the background. We know as professionals that if you have that person in your life as just a professional, you're going to be more successful. And it is wildly applicable here. I mean, Russell, you've hired coaches in the past. You guys actively engage people to try to hold you accountable and keep you focused. When you're thinking about a planning relationship, that's what the rich planning process does, is it helps hold. Isn't that actually the H?
Well, that's true. And the H really is bigger. I mean, I think relationship and accountability are the bookends of the process, because without relationship and accountability, all you have is a transaction with a meandering path and no end. So I tell people all the time, you spend more time planning your 2-week vacation than you do a potential 30 or 40 years in retirement. And that's just plain wrong. It's a recipe for disaster. And, when I was younger, I was nicer with people, and I'm still professional, but I wouldn't say I'm nice, because that's not what they need. So, and when we were new and younger in the business, trying to get established and maybe less confident, we didn't tell people what they needed. We told them what we thought they wanted to hear. And that's no longer what we do. I call it the unvarnished truth. And that's what you engage us for, specific recommendations and truth. Because otherwise you're going to be on the wrong path, or if you get on the wrong path, no one tells you how to get back to the right path, and that's what we do.
Let's talk about those difficult conversations, because these are one of the major things that I think people get very concerned about meeting with a financial services professional. Talking about legacy, talking about, long-term health issues, talking about, really what they want to leave to their heirs. When I personally think about reaching for better, and Russell, I might be alone in this, but I'm thinking about what my greater impact is. And through your planning process, you can help not just impact where they are today, but you can also help impact generations to come too, can't you?
Absolutely. And it can be geometric. And I mean, I've had some clients go through some very emotionally devastating things. And I will tell you, for us, it's emotionally devastating too, because we know these people. It's not transactional for us. But the only thing that would make it worse for these families if they were completely unprepared, or if they were sold a bill of goods that they thought they were prepared and then they weren't. So, we want people to ask us the questions, and if they have a differing opinion, that's fine. And if we can't explain it where they understand it, then I don't want them to do it. But no, I think there's two things I tell people before they sign an engagement with us. It's one, I'm just going to tell you the truth, because that's what you are sitting here for, and that's what you need. And two, once you sign that, I am going to become your financial planning drill sergeant, because we're going to get this done together, or I'm going to be that person until you tell me you don't want to do it anymore. Because we're not just chasing you for the sake of chasing you. We're chasing you so you can achieve your goals and enjoy your dreams.
So, Russell, when you're chasing somebody and you're helping them, you're being that drill sergeant, there's going to be some times where you definitely have to have those difficult conversations. But at the end of it all, right? Why don't you give us an example of somebody that, when you had this epiphany a number of years ago and you guys really decided to kind of switch gears and have that unvarnished, honest truth, what has that done for your clients? What has that done for your clients' families?
Well, I think of one specific couple comes to mind when you say that, and he's a high earner, a physician, and I've known them for a long, long time. In fact, probably 25 years, and they were on that meandering path. He was making a lot of money. In fact, the first two times they gave me a planning fee, I gave it back to them because we could not get all the information that we needed to complete their plan. But finally, third time, as they say, was charm. Got the fee, got the information, finished the plan. They actually executed on the recommendations. At the end of that process, his wife turned to me and she said, "God bless Russell Jacobs." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Well, you stuck with us and you continued to reach out to us and follow up with us, even though we didn't get it done until we finally did." And certainly, yes, there might have been a couple pitfalls they did not partake in, or things we could have achieved more easily if we'd have had success earlier, but we didn't. And I think that's the whole thing about get started now and you're better, because it's not too late unless you're dead. Yes, it's always easier if you start earlier because of compounding and when you know where you want to go, but it's not insurmountable. And it's even less insurmountable, if that's a thing, if you're working with a true professional financial advisor like myself and Carl Coolidge in our firm.
Well, Russell, thank you very much for helping people reach for better.
Well, thank you, Matt. I appreciate your time, and it's always a pleasure to speak with you.
If you have not subscribed to the podcast, make sure you click that subscribe now button below. That way, every time they come out with a new podcast, it'll show up directly on your listening device. And if you know somebody who really needs to have somebody help reach for better, have somebody have these conversations and really go through a real in-depth planning process, please make sure that you reach out to Russell and Carl. Hey, Russell, would you mind giving everybody your phone number again?
Yes, our phone number in the Brunswick St. Simons area is 912-265-2876, and in Savannah, Georgia, it's 912-354-5443. Please give us a call. We would love to sit down and chat with you.
And with that, we'll see you on the other side of the mic very soon.
The content is developed from sources believed to be providing accurate information. The information in this material is not intended as tax or legal advice. Please consult legal or tax professionals for specific information regarding your individual situation. The opinions expressed and material provided are for general information and should not be considered a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security. Russell C. Jacobs III, Carl B. Coolidge, James Jacobs, and William Schwartz are registered representatives of and offer securities, investment advisory, and financial planning services through MML Investor Services, LLC, member SIPC. Supervisory Office, Jacksonville, Florida. Jacobs Coolidge and Company, LLC is not a subsidiary or affiliate of MML Investor Services, LLC, or its affiliated companies.